Welcome and thank you to all of you for joining us for another episode of the Husqvarna Water Connections webinar. I'm your host, Richard Restuccia, and today we are going to be talking about water, but more importantly, the business of water is going to become very evident today. You know, there's a lot of contractors out in in North America today that I feel have a little bit of a reluctance to even talk about water management or even work the water management side of the business. Now, for me, that's a shame, right? Because we're very focused on saving water, conserving, helping businesses grow in a sustainable fashion. So I've been doing a lot of work with Russ Jundt, who's going to be our guest today. And Russ is with Conserva Irrigation. Now, we did ET Water did a big project with Russ. Gosh, that was probably 6, 7 years ago now. 600 and some controllers going in a very hot part of the summer. You haven't lived until you've lived through that type of installation. But Russ and his team were so good about working that project. And I started to watch Russ at that time and the great work he was doing. Russ, I believe you guys won a Vanguard Award from the Irrigation Association for the work you guys did on that project. And then Russ never seemed to look back. He's been growing the business at an incredible fashion. They were Inc. Magazine's one of the fastest growing companies in America. He preaches a message that you really haven't heard before. And most importantly, his attitude and positivity around water conservation and irrigation is contagious. I'm sure at the end of this webinar, you will be out there looking for additional ways to build your business or conserve water. So, Russ, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you being here and your generosity in sharing the information that you've gathered over the years.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Richard. Thank you. Thanks for your continued professionalism, support, friendship, all that good stuff. It's just been a great journey working with you and in growing both our businesses or our careers here. So it's all good.
Yeah. So, Russ, you've got one of the fastest growing landscape companies in the nation. And you saw something that a lot of other people didn't see, and that was some of the needs of our customers or your customers. And what was it that helped you really see this opportunity?
Well, first off, let me kind of sort of set the premise here for those that are chiming in either live, which is awesome, and or on a recorded fashion. I think there's always this misconception of who's Conserva or who's Russ or what are they doing? Are they the McDonald's? They're franchising, right? They're the McDonald's of the irrigation world, and somehow that's like down a notch or not quite. I don't know how it fits in, but the reality at the end of the day is I want anybody that's part of this podcast and then also reviewing it is that man, we are rising tides, right? We're all about water, rising tides. We help each other grow. I very much have the positioning that this is a great business and really the founding principles of the company are really in and around water conservation. Everybody's like, oh, hence the name Conserva. Russ, that's your number one goal in life is water conservation. And the reality is in this endeavor, it's the number two. And it's an important one. It's very important to save water and conserve water. But the number one calling to build this company is to legitimize this industry. It's a beautiful industry. Quite frankly, I'm kind of sort of tired of hearing about HVAC, electric, plumbing, and all that type of stuff. I'm tired of being called dirt plumbers. But the reality at the end of the day is, yes, those are great careers. They're great verticals. They're great ways to build business. But for the rest of us that enjoy outdoor, the rest of us that enjoy building businesses, that enhance the outdoor experience, the green, lush lawn, and healthy landscapes. Irrigation's the ticket, and water management ties in beautifully to that with saving water. And so ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not resting until all of us, and I mean all of us, not just Conserva, that we raise the standards, that we're not affiliated with how our industry is viewed as water wasting, 1.5 billion gallons per day, all that good stuff. It's about all of us collectively coming together in a summit, coming together. How can we build a better company and build a better way to water the world? And so that's ultimately it. And to your point, now I'll get to the question a little circuitous way, Richard, is, I endeavored I had the opportunity to be the first ever Mosquito Squad franchisee, and I loved it. I wasn't familiar with franchising. To me, it was I was an underground utility construction contractor that happened to do irrigation, and poorly, by the way, not very well. I was a common irrigator that didn't understand the value proposition around irrigation, and certainly not about, not about conservation. But why I didn't like the industry was because it didn't seem to be thoughtful about water usage. So when we endeavored to build this company, it was because we were franchisees of Mosquito Squad. We thought, let's buy another franchise. There certainly must be one in irrigation, and there wasn't. And because of that, void led into this great journey. I'm a data nerd by nature. I grew up in the science buildings at St. John's University, so I'm very familiar with that whole process. And data doesn't lie. People lie, they don't intend to, but they do. Data doesn't lie, and our industry is wasting water. So I knew there was a gap. We went to market. I thought we were going to be all about smart controller technology, water management, et cetera. Went to market and found out there is a space for that, but man, there's this big gorge below it. And the gorge is, these systems are not worthy of this beautiful technology. Broken lateral lines, missing nozzles, clogged nozzles, broken heads, all that type of stuff. Water spewing everywhere. We had to view it as triage. So we built a company based on tightening up the system first. So we had to pivot and really come up with a bunch of different protocols. So our original pro forma pivoted early on relative to what we found as an as found, if you will, in the industry.
Yes. So as a follow-up question, Russ, and I thought this was a very good point. And I hadn't realized it until you mentioned it, but you guys do a very good job of marketing what you do without putting the industry down or other competitors down.
Yeah.
It's, and you're on the boat today, right? All boats rise with the tide. And you guys have done a really good job of figuring that out. And as a result, have been very beneficial to the industry, not just Conserva.
Well, and thank you for that. And that we've been thoughtful about that on purpose, because chucking rocks, living in glass houses, it doesn't work very well. The industry doesn't intend to set out and waste a bunch of water. I think there's a lack of knowledge, a lack of access sometimes, or a lack of a path to or guidance to figure out that there is. And today there's all sorts of great resources out there. Early on, I didn't intend to be a dirt plumber. I just started out as a dirt plumber. Most of us start in the middle because we're thrust into it. And that's what we were. I literally asked a customer, underground utility construction customer, we were bringing fiber to home. And we had to ask the question, do you have an irrigation system? If the answer is yes, we had to hand dig that fiber to the home and or use a small directional drill. If the answer is no, then we could cable plow it in. And I don't know what came over me one day. Tom, my business partner, asked, do you have an irrigation system? The guy said no. I turned and said, do you want one? He says, yeah, I can't get anybody to show. I said, great, we'll be here Monday. Tom says, you're an idiot. What are you doing? I said, it can't be that hard. Water flows through pipe, comes out head, must have some sort of control system. Easy. Not that easy. We suffered the indignity of having 17 Rainbird vans on a single zone and nothing popping up, right? So, but it happens. But most of us enter in the middle, and then we start along our journey. We don't go back to the fundamentals and understanding distribution uniformity and proper head-to-head coverage and design, and understanding the metrics of how water works and flow and pressure and all those beautiful things, right? And so we decided to take a step back and say, there's got to be a better way. Got to be a better way, and there is.
Yeah, no, you're right. And yeah, I mean, there's learning it by the book, there's learning it by experience, and somehow I hope we meet somewhere in between. I remember going out with my first contractor, and he was looking at a job and he was kind of pointing. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm bidding in my head. I'm like, is that really how you do it? And, he had enough experience that he could get pretty close, I think.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, artisans. We view ourselves as artisans, and that's fine if we're a one man, one woman shop. When there's two or more, like deer, we need a plan, right? So we need to be able to communicate and build scale. And when the answer turns into I have my own way or it depends, that's not scalable.
Yeah. Yep, you're right. And then the other thing I see these days is that a lot of people will be sustainable if it saves them money. If it costs them money to conserve or be sustainable, they might not do it. And so, with your business, how do you balance this, right? Because you're really helping customers to conserve, but you're also charging a fee for that. They have to pay to be more conservation minded.
Yeah, no doubt. You know, in the first part of it, Richard, that's an interesting part. Our core values, you can see on the screen, and you have to discern your core values. What will you operate? What's your guideline? What will you make decisions upon? All decisions, small and great, in the many thousands or probably tens of thousands of decisions over the last 15 years, have to meet the criteria. We decided what was missing for us, what was missing for most consumers in the industry is professionalism. We answer the phone, we're on time, we're dressed the part, we speak right to the consumer, respect the consumer, all that stuff. We're innovative in how we communicate. We're innovative in how we address the consumer. We're innovative in our tools and in the particular products that we interface with. And then all of it really comes back to responsibility, being a great steward of a natural resource and a very finite resource. My value proposition was flip-flopped. It actually was responsibility followed by innovation. And of course, we're professional. And I'll never forget my first $25,000 investment. It was significant in marketing. And I only got one response, right? It was a postcard style and it went out and in a great area. And I got one response back, and it was somebody, you could see the elderly handwriting by it. They folded the postcard, put it in an envelope, wrote it back to me and said, "Shame on you, wasting water." And I thought, that's I'm going after responsibility. And at the end of the day, is we went after that whole thing. But what we found out is that the consumer, much like it was when I was in my early 20s, so let's put this back in the early 90s, if we wanted to recycle our trash, that call to action, there's a lot of barriers in the way, and there wasn't a lot of people just digging that, like, oh, I'm waking up today, it's trash day, but more importantly, it's recycle day. At the end of the day, it was solving getting the trash out of the home, right? Well, it's the same thing here. Green, lush lawn and healthy landscapes. I want somebody to communicate with me to tell me exactly what the protocol is. Oh, and by the way, my goodness, if you're saving me water and saving me money, that's great. But it was never save me water. Now, that's changing. And we certainly saw that in the commercial side, sustainability, ROI, all that type of stuff on the commercial. You're more than familiar with that. That's a big play. But on the resi side, people want answer. I'm going to really dumb it down for you. Answer the phone. I'm going to dumb it down further. Relatively most of the time. You should do it all the time, and we do all the time, but answer the phone relatively most of the time. Show up on time, relatively most of the time. Do what you say you're going to do all the time, and or relatively most of the time. I just lowered the bar. We play up higher than that, but the idea is you got to answer the phone. You got to, what do they want? Why are they calling? Green, lush lawn, and healthy landscape. Solve my problem, right? And by the way, we're going to save you water. We're going to save you money by charging for that service. And we have a whole variety. I view it as mutual funds, right? Very much some DIYers call us once every 5 years. I got to be on property every month, every week. Do it for me. Everything in between, big bell curve. So we can play the game with all of them, but many of them, they're willing to pay to have green, lush lawn and healthy landscape. And oh, by the way, I can be responsible.
Yeah, it's a great point, right? And I think we see this on all levels of companies, but it's responsiveness to the customer and good communication with the customer, and it starts with something as simple as answering the phone. So
very much,
yeah, it's a great basic to be reminded of.
With the advent of Amazon, now, they're already down that line multiple times, right? Many different companies, that opportunity went by. Answer the phone, be nice, do what you say, show up on time, be communicative. Of course, it's all beyond the stuff, but develop systems in and around that. Happy to share our systems that we use for that as well.
Yeah, great. So one thing, when I was at Valley Crest, I had some insight onto U.S. Lawns. That was their franchising residential maintenance group, and boy, they were very successful, high margins in what they did, and boy, if you got into that program, you were successful. But there's few and far between, right? When I think about that, I think about what you're doing. Only one I know in irrigation doing this. Um, how did you put into place that this would be scalable? It would be successful. Um, what was your vision on that? I mean, you started this many years ago now. You were the founder, and you certainly had the vision. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, I always endeavored at the beginning to build scale, to build it to become the nation's largest irrigation company, but more importantly, 10x the next competitor, and to do it in a thoughtful, responsible way, saving the Earth's fresh water. And in doing so, I feel I was affiliated with Mosquito Squad and as a franchisee, and then also had a role in helping train and develop operations, and became great friends with this group at Outdoor Living Brands, now Empower Brands. And one thing that I learned from the then now chairman of our board, but the then CEO is like, Russ, he's like, you're not going to build a company. You're going to build a company first off. Yes. And you'll do exceptionally well. There's no doubt. First to market. This is not easy to do. Many have tried, many have failed, and odds are you're going to fail. In fact, he was pretty adamant that we were going to fail. And that's what I love when people say no, because there was another company that tried to, in Canada, in Ontario, that tried to franchise irrigation. And I knew exactly why they failed. They went after the install market. It's not scalable, not repeatable. It can be, yes, but you got to be on the repeatable service side of things, higher margin, etc. But he said, well, you're not going to build a business on the backs of others, certainly not on their wallet. You're going to do it yourself. You're going to learn that. So I did. And after 2 years, we had developed, in fact, 90 days in, I had a one-page static website, some small yard signs, and a bunch of shoe leather. I had 305 customers. I knew we were onto something. That next year, then over that short off season, I interviewed a bunch of those customers, if not all of them. What are you looking for? Why'd you call me? There's no reason to call me. What attracted you to this concept? And then from there, we started to develop, really by accident, in response to what people are asking for: consistent, homogeneous messaging, some sort of scalability, or some sort of a report that would give them an as found. What's my system like? They go to the doctor, they get a report. They go to they bring their car in, they get a report. Everything you do, you get a report. HVAC has a report. Electric, plumbing, everything kind of sort of has that. We didn't do it. It was just all this kind of gunslinging. So we came up with a consistent messaging in and around it. And that was our SES, or system efficiency score. But that whole process, we discerned that, hey, I've got success at a local level. How can we do it? Yeah, Russ, we know you can do it. You've been successful. Can others do it? So then I started to build across the US, 8 other locations. All those locations, not some, not most, all locations did better than I did. It showed that we had a great protocol in place, and we gave people a seat at the table. We listened. What are you doing? What are you going to do? How can you help grow this? What's been your experience? And from that, after 5 years of really traveling the US and working with, really at that time, thousands of customers, what can we do better? And it was humbling, it was encouraging, it was exciting, it was challenging. All those things kind of mixed together, and we built it out. And by December so I founded the company December of 2010. By December of 2016, so 6 years, right? We had a proof of concept that the unit economics were favorable at the contractor level, at the owner level, and that it was a scalable business. And we went to town and we franchised it that next year in June, and fast forward, I think 8 years in, 85 locations, a little over 50 million, and we're just getting started.
Yeah, it's a great story. It's a great success story. And I mean, you mentioned that 2010 to 2017, 17, you were getting the Vanguard Award. I mean, you guys got a lot of notoriety right away for the great work you were doing. That was pretty fast.
That was a blessing, man. What a humbling experience. We saved ultimately in that experience 303 Target stores. The Vanguard Award we won for saving, I think, 36 million gallons of water, which how great that was. That's what it was based upon. We actually, in that relationship, in under 3 years, saved them 250 million gallons of water. It's where we cut our teeth, really, in the commercial space.
Yeah, no, it's a great story. So just want to remind everybody, I've got the Q&A open. So if you've got some questions for Russ about water management, about franchising, or Conserva, please drop them in there and I'll make sure he gets them as appropriate. So one thing I often say in water management, Russ, is that we're really selling trust. Every time I go down the road of trying to explain what evapotranspiration or soil moisture values are, or how much water clay soil can hold in a square foot, I realize, the customer's got no idea what I'm saying. But they're making a determination somewhere in there. Can I trust this guy or not? Because what he's saying is, hey, we're going to save you water, and we're going to come back and find out if I can actually keep my promises or not. And certainly that's been your life for many years now. How do you build this trust? How do you get people to really think about what you're saying is going to come true?
Oh, great point. I laugh, I chuckle because I like to geek out on things, and I learned that people don't like to geek out on things, right? They just want to know that they're going to have green, lush lawn and healthy landscape. I have to be prepared for those that want to ask more about evapotranspiration or distribution uniformity or plant coefficients and all that type of stuff, because there are some folks out there that are very interested in that. In the early days at Mosquito Squad, I was so excited about the mechanics of the whole thing and how we'd use this microencapsulated permethrin. It was synthetic, no mammalian toxicity. It was at 125 micron level, used through a mist blower. It would enter the chitin of the mosquito. It wouldn't actually kill the mosquito upon contact. What it would do is interrupt the sodium channel. And in the meantime, it's like chirp, 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 crickets. Like they're like, who the heck is that, dude? Is it going to work? Right? I having a party on Saturday. What are you doing for me? Well, it's the same thing, right? So they're like, I'm like, okay, that consumer is asking, is it safe? Is it effective? How much does it cost? Well, I found out the same thing. I'm coming fully armed, man. I went through the CLIA course 7 times. I love it, man. Craig Borland, man. Thank you for that. And but I went through it many, many times, and I developed the SES through that process, helping do a simplified version of it. But I wanted to be an expert. You've got to become a student of the industry. I don't care where you're from. Conserva, by the way, brings in all sorts of people from outside the industry into the industry. That won't work. How can that work? That guy, that gal, a gal. Why does that in our industry? Yeah. All their business experience comes in, we'll teach them the irrigation experience, we'll teach you the business side of it. So that's the way we looked at it, is we got to build a model, something that's scalable, repeatable, duplicable, teachable, and we could build from there. And so as we looked at things and as we continued to build the company, I thought, man, there's definitely an opportunity here to build something and build something special. And there's got to be ways to do it. And there's got to be through data and through knowledge, but not over geeking it, being prepared to do that. But the consumer, anytime I talked about evapotranspiration, I showed all the charts, the curves, and mass over watering and all this type of stuff. All they could come up in a response, because people want to thoughtfully engage in a conversation, and they would come up with this. Oh, so what you're saying is this thing isn't going to water when it's raining? That's all they could come up with, which is a stupid little pause alarm, a little snooze alarm called a rain sensor, right? But that's what I soon found out. It's the one truth known to mankind. Oh my God, my neighbor, every time it rains, the system's going off our city parks, and they're pointing. And I'm like, you know what? Your neighbor next to you points at you and says that about your same system. Really? Right? So it's just this funny thing. People want to participate. Green, lush lawn and healthy landscape. How do I get there? Thoughtfully, reasonably, budget-minded, and how can I get that? And that's what they want.
Yeah, I love it. I was giving the best explanation of ET that I think I've ever done. Concise, direct, to the point. First question after I finished that was, hand goes up. I'm like, all right, here's a positive comment. The person says, I don't know what ET is.
Phone home.
but
Yeah.
but they did have some things they wanted to stop happening with their irrigation, and yeah, we learned from this. So got a couple of questions coming in now, Russ, that I want to ask. And the first one is, what are some of the tools you use to save your customers water?
Yeah. So a bunch of different things. First thing is we're very, what we learned, we have sketch names for everything that we create, and we're in pilots right now, different things that we're testing before we release to the legacy group, to the larger group of the Conserva franchise owners. Again, it has to be in the best interest of the consumer, best interest of nature, best interest of the franchisee, the business owner, and the technicians. Scalable, repeatable, duplicable, all those good things. So we go through that whole litmus testing. And so to answer the question, what are some of the what are some of the tools that we utilize? Well, at the end of the day, first off, is before we got into the weeds of and the innovation around smart controller technology, different things like that, right? In the nuances of electrical testing and all that stuff, which we do, we have all protocols for that. We wanted to create something that was scalable and repeatable in the experience. And the test names, funny looking back on this, the sketch name of Conserva was not Conserva. It was the Green Earth Experience. There's Jimi Hendrix right there. The sketch name of our SES, System Efficiency Score, was Buddy Boy. Why? I had a consumer, small gal, elderly. She said, "Come here, Buddy Boy. You need to explain to me why you came out here and said, I need this, that, and the other thing. And I did this, that, and the other thing. And then you sent Jake, who was our first technician and ascended all the way up, and great guy. And Jake said, that's great, but you also need this, that, and that. And she said, you never told me about this, that, and that. You said this, that, and the other thing. And I did that. And now you guys are used car salesmen. You guys are like bringing in, or we're bringing my car to a repair shop, and you're coming up with the deal of the day. And I said, no, you really do need all this stuff. I just kind of sort of, first we got to start with triage. You had some leaks, lateral line leaks, valve not firing, missing rain sensor. Jake was looking at head-to-head design, triangular spacing, proper nozzling. Those are all important. So we decided the tool that we came up with for us was a tool for a technician to communicate the same experience. We've got 450 technicians, I think, something like that across the US, 500 maybe now. Doesn't matter. I go to Richard's house, that technician, I go there, any one of the technicians go there, same consistent professional report. That tool, the SES, System Efficiency Score, we look at 50 different points of that irrigation system, from water source to controls to wires, valves, heads, lat lines, everything in between, master valve or not, everything. And it puts it into 3 areas. We're actually revamping it. We call it our SES 2.0 right now. But as in current state, what are critical issues and repairs? Doesn't matter who goes through it. It says the same thing. That person, that system needs these things: critical issues and repairs. Think triage. Love to get the new teeth. Femoral hemorrhaging, got to suture up the femoral artery first, right? Then we can talk about the teeth. So that's it. Then we look at design issues. Then we get into the fun smart controller technology upgrades, the PSN swap outs, the high efficient nozzles that we use, and MP rotators, whatever, right? So we look at that, but you can't, one has to happen first: critical issues and repairs. So great question. The tool isn't a gadget, isn't a screwdriver, isn't a multimeter, which we love, all that stuff. What it is, the tool is a way to build scale in your office. Just 2 of you, build it the same way. Your report, same as the other report. Consistent, reliable, so it justifies, it quantifies, and it monetizes the experience for the consumer. They can make the decision that day. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I used to deal with property managers, and I would say, let me see the reports that your landscaper is providing you. And it varied from, and they might be managing, multiple properties. And they would get something from, on a napkin to maybe an Excel spreadsheet. And I was like, how do it's the same customer. It's a national retailer. You're managing all these properties. How do you How do you get this message to your customer? I mean, this is impossible. There's so much variance. And they
Well,
realize if they could get it all uniform and provide a master report to their customer, they'd be much further ahead as a property manager.
well, it justifies it. We have a, on steroids, a much larger report that we call a commercial site assessment, and it goes way, way deep and has ROIs and all sorts of awesomeness to it. However, the reality at the end of the day is I keep talking about this, the consistency of the report, it develops trust. You asked earlier, is the trust. It develops trust, the consistency. Ours is based upon the BMP's best management practices of the IA, and brings in all the teaching of CLIA and CIT and CID and all the water management principles, but it's also backed by the BMPs of the EPA for best water management, best water practices for conservation of water external to the home. So those things that justifies they've made the right decision, but it's consistent. And your tool needs to show that. The gal asks, Russ, every time your people are here, they say I need to replace my rain sensor. Why is that? Because you need to replace your rain sensor. That's why. It's broken. So we're consistent. We're not bugging you until you fix. We're going to keep bringing it up. Broken. Needs to be fixed.
Yeah, it's truly, it's a process.
Yeah.
It is just the process, right? To follow, and there's some science to the process, and then it's about executing, which is again the reason why I thought it was so great for you to come on today and share your secrets, because really, even if you know the secrets, you still have to execute, and that's one thing you guys do so well.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we've got another question coming in, and it's from the Pacific Northwest. Lots of rain in the winter. In the summer, a lot of people don't have an irrigation system, but they love to have vegetable beds and maybe some flowers. Do you have any special programs to help people like that? A lot of people are starting to grow food at home. I know I am. I know you are. How do you help people like that?
Well, a couple different ways. Number one is Pacific Northwest, right? Again, same thing. I think they've got 3 days of summer. We have 4 here in Minnesota. So we built a water conservation company here in a short season, which is exceptionally viable. Our systems really aren't running here in Minnesota. If you're familiar with our area right now, man, it's just been rain, 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 rain. Florida, where my home is, my other home, it's just been rain, 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 right? So the systems aren't running, which is great. Amen. That's what they're supposed to do. But you do need them. So those that endeavor to have these gardens, endeavor to have these areas that they want to take care of, and they already have an irrigation system, great. You still got to summarize it, still got to winterize it. May only get used a few times. It may get used plenty. My vehicle that I bring down to Florida, I don't drive a whole lot down there. My vehicle up here, I drive it a whole lot more. Still got to maintain it, still got to take care of it. If they don't have a system, I would build, if it were me, I would endeavor to build a small irrigation system that's going to professionally water and manage those things. We kind of sort of use secret out, right? We kind of sort of use these little beehive things we love, man. They're awesome. You can put them on the end of a hose. I personally use them, and we use them to refill pools and stuff. But you can put a little hose timer on there, and you can have a beautiful app to control it if you want to do micro irrigation. If they don't want to build an entire system, but they've got raised beds, small plant areas that they want to run and be thoughtful about the water. Oh, I left it on. Oh, I forgot to water. The tomatoes are compromised. What did I do? Put it on a thoughtful timer that way. That's an easy way to do it. That's one of the small tools that we recommend. I love that thing, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing amount of technology you get for a very low price. And again, from the sheer convenience, it's worth it. And then you add in the water savings and again, watering your plant at the right time with just the right amount. You'll get the most healthy, luscious vegetable beds in your raised gardens that you've ever had.
Yep. Perfect. Great question.
Yeah. So how there's another question that came in. How is the water savings message received by consumers? Are they getting it?
They are now, and it's more so. It's certainly more than it was 15 years ago, and it's continuing to grow, just like it is with. I was the guy. I was the young 20-year-old something or other with this new house and kind of kidding about saving recycling stuff, and I'm like, oh, just put it in that bin right there. I got people that'll take care of it. I wasn't recycling. Now I'm the guy at my shop here in Minneapolis. I'm digging through all this trash going, what are you guys doing, man? We got the recycle bin right here. So it's becoming more and more acceptable. It's becoming more of a demand. On the commercial side, that's 9 Momo time. That's easy. It's not only should you be having those conservation question or conversations with them, you need to be. That's silly and irresponsible of you not to. I would say the same on the resi side. It's very well received, and it's expected. It's in our name. It's in what we do. It's in how we speak. It's how we live. I talked about developing an undeniable passion. You can look at any podcast, any interview online, any print, any video I've ever done over the years. I'm consistently talking about the same thing. It's a passion. It's undeniable. Will not rest until legitimize the industry and save the world with the fresh water. So how people receive that is how you are pushing it, how you are setting them up and asking those questions. Clearly, you want green, lush, healthy lawn and landscape, but guess what? You can't have that until you have the right everything else, right protocol. The SES to point it out. I'm like, I don't give the consumer choices, right? I'm like Ford that way. You can have any color Ford you want as long as it's black. You can have any rotor you want as long as it's a Toro T5. This is not a commercial for Toro. For me, it meets our core values. But for us, best distribution uniformity raises. We do a lot of retrofitting and replacing, so that extra inch that it pops up makes sense. It's checked. It's awesome. For me, best product. I could convince myself that the Rainbird 5004, the K-Rain, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be the same. Black plastic. But I don't want my consumer fretting about what is it in ground. You want a green, lush lawn and healthy landscape. I'm the professional. We're going to use iPro sprays that pop up 6 inches, not 4. We're going to use the best. They have to be efficient nozzles. We happen to believe in the Toro PSN nozzles, the beautiful, especially the new Hunter MP rotators. I like the greater application rate on those. And that's what we utilize. We're getting away from the vans. We're not getting away. We've never had them in the model. It's irresponsible. It's water wasting. The lack of, we've always used pressure regulation. We don't wait for the government to tell us what to do, what our consumers should do. We do the responsible thing, all pressure regulated. We happen to eliminate SKUs. We use pressure PR40 on that stuff. Even things that need 30 work wonderfully at 40. Blah, blah, blah. You can hear the messages. We make the decisions for the consumer. I don't have them go to market. Hey, which smart controller do you use? We have one. And you'd really be shocked if you knew what it was. And we just made a massive switch, and this just in. But we are all in on the Beehive controller, man. It's just a phenomenal controller. And it's not a commercial for them either. Hunter Hydrowise makes a nice product. Weathermatic makes a nice product. Rainbird everybody makes a nice product. Toro's got a brand new RXC coming out. Awesome. Good for them. For us, there's one. And that's what we deploy to our consumer. And that's what we do. Two spray nozzles that meet our efficiency, one spray body that meets our efficiency, one rotor that meets our efficiency, one drip system that meets our efficiency, one valve structure that meets our efficiency, blah, 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 master valves, etc. Build it in, run the play, you make the call. The consumer isn't telling you, they're not the tail that wags you, the dog. You are saying, no, this is what you need. I'm the pro. Develop it, run with it, have the passion, back it up.
Yeah, very, very smart business model, right? You get everybody trained the same way. No matter what job they're going to, they know what to expect. They know the products inside and out because that's what they've been doing. They never get a surprise. It's really, really smart of you guys. Yep. So I want to ask you another question, though, and it's just to clarify for those that don't know, what do you mean we don't wait for the government to tell us what to do?
Well, we endeavored, right, to save money and save water. And you cannot sit there and put your head on the pillow at night if you've got an unpressure regulated spray body and you've got this misting and fogging and wasting of water, and you don't have protocols for mitigating and eliminating times when you're running your system with high winds or with high ET values in the middle of the day. I don't need somebody to say, here's a weather, you shouldn't be watering. We're going to preclude you from watering from noon till 6. Really? Yeah. I don't need that. I already understand that intimately, right? So we develop those things. Now we tolerate the government stepping in and making some decisions that make it equally very difficult to manage these things. That's why we do use tools that allow us, smart irrigation tools, smart controllers. I like to call them more so weather-based timers, right? That allow us to still irrigate smart within watering windows. But we certainly, I don't need somebody to say, you should be thinking about saving water. My entire company is developed on that. And I kind of sort of teach the government what's best. And if they make decisions I don't kind of sort of agree with because they don't know what they're doing, I come in as a subject matter expert and say, bad decision. We should rethink.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's great, right? And I just want to make the point that you're already doing things that conserve. You're taking the lead on it. You're not waiting. You're not doing it one way, and then by law, when you have to put in a regulating head, you put it in. You're ahead of that curve.
I don't wait. I don't. Yeah, I don't look at it as a barrier to comply. I look at it as an opportunity to distinguish myself and an opportunity to differentiate myself. I've always had pressure regulated heads, always used 6-inch pop-ups, always had high efficient nozzles, always had smart controllers, always had master valves, always have all that stuff. What is best for that system? And therefore, how do we achieve green, lush lawn, a healthy landscape, and a thoughtful, respectful, beats core values: professionalism, innovation, responsibility.
Well, and look, this reminds me of something else, right? And this is, I don't care what type of contractor I'm dealing with. And what I mean by that, electrical, plumbing, landscaping, roofing. It seems to me that more often than not, contractors will try to sell you on this idea of you can buy X, it will cost you less, and it will do the same as the more expensive. And this is the business model that a lot of them use. And it's just not true, right? There's no magic product out there that costs less and does more. You guys seem to have figured that out.
Yeah, it's got to meet the standards. We test everything. And again, I'm just all the below ground black plastic stuff is, if it's professional grade, awesome. And people look at that too. And even within our system, sometimes they're like, what does it really matter? Why does it have to be a Toro T5? Why does it have to be a Hunter MP rotator? Well, I'll tell you why. It's easier to build scale when those small decisions. Go online, you'll see it. Go onto the Irrigation Tech Talk and all these things. I belong to them all on Facebook, and it's fun to watch the show when you get some popcorn popping and everybody's talking about which rotor do you use and why. And I've had people sit there and go, you don't carry 360s for your rotors? Is unbelievable. Did you know there's a 1% or a 2% overlap when it goes 180 and then changes direction? I'm like, says the dude or the dudette that puts a 2.5 nozzle in every rotor, despite if it's doing 360, 90, 180 or whatever. I'm like, you're worried about a 2% overlap. Whatever. I make the decisions, we make the decisions, collectively we make the decisions, and just say, hey, here, run the play. This is what we're gonna go with. It's the best. It's the one we're building scale on. We get a great cost of goods because we buy in bulk. Imagine that. Be loyal to your partners. I don't pit partners against each other. Man, do I get the best deal at SiteLawn or Central or Ewing or Horizon or Heritage or whatever? We don't pit them against each other. I just want a good quality, high quality, professional grade product. My team's going to make a decision which ones those are. We're going to deliver upon it, and we're going to establish exactly what our consumer wants: green, lush lawn, and healthy landscape. We're going to do it responsibly, build scale at it, and we're going to do it in an efficient manner.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So we just have time here for one last question that's come in, and it has to do with rain catchment systems, barrels, anything like that. Do you guys do work with that? Is that something that's in your portfolio?
Yeah, limited. It's on our radar. We've been working with that. We've been doing some cistern systems, some obviously reclamation, but the cistern systems, we're going to see a day. I say it all the time. We're going to see a day that we have adaptive drainage true adaptive drainage, and I say that to the Netherlands side of it, where they're catching all hard surface, right, goes into these cisterns. They reutilize it for power washing, irrigation, and other means like that. Our government, the EPA, is not real keen on those types of things as of right now. There's petroleum, there's pesticides, herbicides, things like that get caught in their regulation for great reason in and around that. Make no mistake, this union, this United States will be using a more rigorous cistern systems that we'll be able to use. We're going to use gray water. Make no mistake, we're going to be utilizing gray water for using this. We'd be silly not to. I've positioned it that Conserva, this is the way I look at it, we'll be number one as thought leaders in this area. We consider ourselves thought leaders in it. When those regulations lift and give us the ability to participate, we'll be the best at it. And that's the way I'm going to look at it. And we're preparing for that every single time, and we're advocating for it. So if you are the person asking that, thank you, thoughtful question. If you're utilizing that, if you're building good scale at that, tell the rest of the earth on how the heck you're doing it. We need to do more of it. Makes great sense. We know it, consumers. I've got this rain barrel, catches like 30 gallons. And I was wondering, could that take care of my system? No, but 2,500 gallons for a one time around the horn. So no, but it can do other stuff, and it makes great sense.
Yeah. Well, Russ, this has been just a great webinar. You have taught us a lot about business, about water management, and about conservation. So thanks so much. I really appreciate you being so generous with all this information and all your knowledge and experience.
Richard, I appreciate the time. I love it. We could go on, literally, we could go on for another 8 hours and then repeat that by another probably 8 weeks of 8 hours per day. I love the topic. I love the company. I love the passion. I love the industry. I love the channel partners, all that stuff. If anybody out there, I'm an open book. I said it a long time ago, and it was kind of sort of taken wrong. I'm like, somebody asked me early on, what do you think? How do you see Conserva being positioned in the marketplace? And we only had $126,872 and 18 cents of sales, so we were very small lifetime. And I said, I see people they're either with us or with Conserva, and they're like, that's kind of brash. I'm like, no, you're either with Conserva, you're wearing the blue, you're part of our team, that'd be great. Or you work with us. We're great at marketing. We have a lot of work. We can subcontract out to you, come play ball, happy to do that. Or you can compete with us. And that's not a negative thing. Oh, it's competing with us. No. Rising tides. We're an open book, happy to help you. If we're in the same adjacent territory, same metropolitan area, and we've got a franchise owner there and you're there, there's room for both of you. I promise you to do a responsible job, and both of you can work together without beating heads and all that type of stuff. We're an open book, happy to help. My contact information, rjunt@conservasupport.com, rjunt@conservasupport.com. I'm an open book. If you need anything, you can see me on LinkedIn. You can see me anywhere. Ask me any question. Happy to help.
Wow, that's really generous. I hope that everybody takes advantage of this, because I know you all have more questions. So Russ, again, thank you. Thank you to all the viewers. Really appreciate you spending time with us. It's a really busy time of the season. So I know we want to be sure we hit the right content for you. And boy, Russ, you sure did that today. So thank you. And remember, you can watch any of our webinars for free at husqvarna-water.com. As well as wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Again, Russ, thanks very much for joining us today. Everybody have a good rest of the day, rest of the week, and we'll catch you back here in a few weeks. Thanks again.
Thank you, Richard.